Hello everyone and welcome to Sambhav Law. In today's session, we have Miss Charu with us, who has scored a very good All India rank of 15 in the IELET PG exam and has also scored a rank of 201 in the CLAT PG 2023 exam. So I would like to congratulate you, Charu, for this big achievement. And I would like to firstly welcome you to the channel. And I would like you to firstly introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you for your kind words, sir. Hi, I am Charu Sharma, and I have recently completed in 2022. I have completed my BA LLB honors from National Law University, Jodhpur, and now I'll be pursuing my LLM from NLU, Delhi, in commercial laws.
Yeah, so Charu, can you just elaborate upon how you started your preparation for it's like both the exams, CLAT and IELET. Both these exams are so different when it comes to their preparation because IELET itself has the subjective part, then it has English. So how did you went about preparing for both these exams and how did you manage the whole thing out?
Okay, so actually in 2022, after I graduated, I decided to give CLAT, but I wasn't sure about the pattern and everything. So I gave the 2022 CLAT without any preparation. So at that time, I had gotten HNLU. So I thought maybe the paper is not that tough. So I decided to prepare for it and I joined some coachings. And at that time, I also started reading SEC blogs and live law blogs. So SEC, I referred from 1st January 2021 till November 15, 2022. And I also referred to live law columns for the same dates. So while I was preparing all these things, I had also made a lot of notes, and some of those notes were topic wise notes. Let's say, for example, if I were to write notes of right to privacy or abortion in that case, so I would write all the provisions related to it, the international conventions, and all the cases from start to end. So that helped me prepare for IELTS descriptive part as well, and also for the provisions and case laws for CLAT. Whereas for the other two parts of IELT, let's say the first part, which is English, that is also prepared by reading a lot of articles and having good comprehending abilities. And the second part, legal reasoning, is again the same. You need to have good comprehending abilities and have reading a lot and reading fast and being able to answer the questions at the same time helped me a lot.
So, Charu, if I take your focus towards the CLAT PG paper first of all. So, as we all know that the pattern of the paper is changed and it is a bit different. So, what was your first reaction when you saw the CLAT PG paper for the first time when you were sitting in the examination hall?
Yeah. So as I said, I had prepared a lot, but when I saw the paper for the first time, I got flustered. I was like, because I had prepared for all the subjects like family and criminal and constitutional law, and the paper this year was very commercial law focused. So when I saw the paper, it was very lengthy. It had a lot of big passages, and most of the questions could not be answered from any prior law knowledge. They had to be found out in the comprehension itself, in the passage itself. So I really got flustered, but then I decided to manage my time and calm myself down. But it took around 15 to 20 minutes. But because of that, for the initial, I think 30 to 40 questions, I took a lot of time. And because of that, I did not have a lot of time by the end of it. And so I ended up marking many wrong circles in the OMRs and everything. So I would suggest everyone who's watching the video, who's preparing for the paper, that when you give the paper, when you're sitting in the exam hall, forget about all the preparation that you've done prior to that. Because in this paper, anybody who had done 5 to 6 months of preparation, or anybody who had done preparation, who had prepared for around 15 to 20 days, both of them stood on the same ground for the paper.
Well, that is a very valid point that you have pointed out here. And if I talk about now the IELET paper, so in the IELET paper specifically, when I talk about the difficulty of the paper, so as we all know that the time limit for the exam is so short, and you have to do so many questions, and you have to manage two parts that are of different type. So how do you go about by that?
IELTS paper, even though it has a lot of questions, they are not lengthy. So English has only 25 questions. So I guess that can be done in around 7 to 8, maximum 10 minutes. And for the legal reasoning, they have 25 questions again. Even though the marks are 15, the questions are 25 only. And there are 5 passages, around 5 passages, which are also pretty easy passages. So in that case, also, they would take you hardly 35 to 40 minutes or 50 minutes at max. So 1 hour for the first section is the maximum I think anybody should give to that. And remaining 30 minutes to write 2 descriptive answers is, I guess, not unreasonable.
Okay. So when I talk about, when you start the paper, so according to you, should it be better that we focus more upon the objective part in the first half and then go to the subjective part, or do it vice versa?
No. I would suggest that you should go objective and then subjective wise. Yeah, in the order the paper is given, I think you should solve it like that. Because
In
and people tend to do that when you start writing descriptive answers, when you start writing answers, you tend to give it a lot of time. So when it's at the end of it, let's say when you have to give only 30 minutes, in that case, you cannot allot more time to it. But if you do it firstly while you're starting the paper, it's very likely that people would end up giving 40 minutes, 45 minutes to it.
so that is a
Because
that is
there's no
also
word limit as such.
that is also a very valid point. So if I come to one of the more important questions, like according to you, what is like the major difference when you prepare for the CLAT exam and for the IELTS exam, or what are the similarities that you find while you are preparing for both these exams? We'll talk about that.
I think pointing out the similarities first, both of these exams do not focus a lot on prior law knowledge. What you need to understand is they are not testing how much any person knows about core legal provisions or case laws and everything about that. They just want to know if a person has basic legal awareness. They know what is happening around in the legal world. Number one. Number two, if a person has very good comprehending and reading abilities and has read a lot and is able to apply that reading. This is a very common thing which I found out in both the papers. And for the differences, I would say in this particular year, I would say that IELET was IELTS was not that difficult. Honestly, it was not that lengthy, but CLAT was very lengthy. And CLAT, I think it has kind of a tendency to always change its pattern. Despite having released 3 sample papers of the same kind, despite having 3 previous year papers, 2020, 2021, and 2022, it has deviated again from its pattern. So I think for CLAT, I wouldn't say that there is any particular pattern or any particular syllabus which can be relied upon.
That is a very valid point. And if I talk about then, like if any person, if they start to prepare for the next year's exam, as we all know that, they will be held in the month of December. So
Yes.
I think so in your case, you only had a month, like a 6-month period window for the very same
Yes.
thing. But if you talk about a 1 year period, how would you start, preparing, and what tips would you like to give to the students who are watching this video who will be preparing for the next year's exam?
So, see, for CLAT, as I said again, there is no uniform pattern. So, I would say you have to be prepared for everything. So, if we were to keep this year's CLAT aside, like the 2023 paper aside, I would say that focus on constitutional law, focus on family law, focus on IPC, CRPC, focus on case laws. But if you were to keep this paper in mind, I would also say that focus on commercial laws and focus a lot on reading and comprehending abilities. Now, since any person who will start preparing now for the 2022 CLAT, 2022 CLAT, 2024 CLAT, I'm so sorry,
Right.
already has 12 months in hand. So I would say read a lot of articles, read SEC, read bar and bench, read live law, whatever you have in hand, and also prepare for all these things alongside. Also, if somebody is still in the law school, I would say just focus on all the subjects that are being taught to you right now and then prepare them alongside then only.
As they are being taught in the college itself.
Yeah.
That would be a very, very good strategy. Yeah, definitely. Acha, if I talk about the mock papers, Charu, so what role do you think that practicing mock papers, and specifically for the CLAT PG exam, what role does that play? When a person is preparing for this particular exam.
Yeah, so actually, it's quite funny actually. When I gave the 2022 CLAT, at that time, you did not have to read the comprehensions to answer the questions. So when I subscribed to your mock test, there were a lot of tests wherein I had to read the entire comprehension to be able to answer the questions that followed. So at that time, I thought maybe it's not that relevant because you don't have to read the comprehensions a lot to answer the questions. But I still gave the mock tests anyway, and that really helped me a lot in the real time exam because therein you had to read the comprehensions, and then only you'll be able to answer the questions.
So basically, what basically you can say is that the practice of mocks is also one of the more key ingredients when it comes to preparing for the CLAT PG exam in itself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah, and apart from
And
that,
yeah, sorry, please go on.
please
I'm so
carry
sorry.
on, please carry on.
Yeah. I would just like to say that there is one very good thing which I subscribe, one very good thing which I realized when I subscribed to your course. There are a lot of mock tests, almost 50 to 60 mock tests. So there is a lot to practice. So even if a person gives around like one mock test every 1 to 2 weeks, still there'll be a lot to practice. So I think that's a very good thing.
No, so thank you, thank you very much. We are really humbled by that thing. Thank you very much. So, Asha, apart from that, if I talk about your journey, the future. So, where do you, find yourself, and like, what's the future for you? What are you gonna do after this?
Okay. Well, to put it honestly, I did not want to pursue LLM. As you know, I had talked to you about this. So I did not want to pursue LLM at all. But then I wanted to give CLAT to get one of the PSUs. But then I wanted to practice a bit. So I gave the exam of IELET. But then, as luck would have it, I got selected in IELTS. So right now, I'm thinking that I will go on to pursue commercial laws from NLUD, and thereafter, right now also, and thereafter, I would also give some of the exams for financial regulatory bodies.
So basically, if I talk about the SEBI exam and henceforth,
Yes, yes.
yeah, basically those exams. So apart from that, Charu, do you have any message for the students? In last, like we would be ending this interview after this. Do you have any message for the students who are watching this video, and like you are an inspiration to all of them, because you score such a good grade and everything. So what would you like to say to them?
Well, I would just say that it's very stressful to prepare for a competitive exam. I get it. But I would just say that prepare for all the subjects well, read a lot, and have good comprehending abilities because these are not important just for these competitive exams or for any exam. These are very good in order to build your skills for the profession. Number one, that. And number two, it's good if you clear the exam, but it's not the end of the world if you don't. So you should not stress yourself unnecessarily.
And that is really a very, very good point, because see, there are a lot of students who prepare for this exam and did not score well. So they had a lot of forms that, so we were not able to score that well, and the paper had a very different pattern, this and that. So I would also like to add this point that if you have prepared for this exam, then it is not the end of the road, because you still have that knowledge inside within you, and that will definitely help you in your law career when you go for any other exam in the future, you appear for any other interview or whatever. So it's never the end of the road, and that's the main gist of the whole preparation journey that we all take along with it.
Yes, sir.
So I thank you very much, Charu, for giving us your time and discussing the things that you basically did for your preparation. And I think that the students that are watching this video, this session, would find it helpful and would learn a lot from your experience and how you prepared for this paper. And once again, I congratulate you for achieving this success. Thank you very much.